welcome back to another diary. No date on the hand today. That's just because I'm not sure how I'm going to be editing the little intro sequence you just saw. So, yeah, the date is in there somewhere, obviously. This video is going to be me talking about my friends and I's first experience at TIFF. We got the opportunity to go this year because it was Elijah's 19th birthday. The weekend of September 11th is when we went, and then I think our train left at like 11:48. So then we Ubered down to the GO station, and we took the train down to Union Station in Toronto. That's where we met EJ, and from there we walked around Toronto a bit. He showed us his campus. We just kind of sat and hung out for a little bit. We talked, we caught up. The original plan for the TIFF weekend was we were just going to see one movie and then just kind of hang out the rest of the 2 days. But we decided we're at TIFF, why not see more than one movie? So while we were sitting around, we were looking at the TIFF website to see if we could catch another showing, because we were originally supposed to see the film My Puny Sorrows at 5 o'clock, I think, and the earliest showing that we could go to was for a film called Wildhood at 3:30, and we thought the theater for Wildhood was closer than it actually was, so we thought we could finish it and then just leave immediately and then go to see My Puny Sorrows. As we were getting the tickets, we had to call and order them to get them in the account. We took a streetcar to get to where Wildhood was playing after we purchased the tickets, which is Ontario Place. They have an IMAX theater there, and we soon realized that the streetcar was going to be like 15 minutes late to our showing, so we were like, that's not good. So we had to request a stop to get off the streetcar, and then we thought of Ubering because it would take us like 6 minutes and we would get to the show on time. So we ordered an Uber and we absolutely booked it, well, the driver booked it, to Ontario Place, where we luckily showed up on time and we got to the world premiere, which was crazy because none of us have ever been to a world premiere before, and we didn't know we bought world premiere tickets because they weren't any more expensive than anything else. They weren't premium tickets or anything. And then when the announcer person came out, they said that it was the world premiere of Wildhood, and we all just kind of looked at each other and were like, oh my god, we are 100% not making the My Puny Sorrows showing. So the director and some of the cast came out before the film started and talked a little bit, and then introduced the film and screened it. And then luckily it was one of the best films we saw at the festival. All of the performances were absolutely incredible. I think a lot of them were like first-time actors, or this was like one of their first bigger films. Which was really surprising because a lot of them were really super good. But at times, some of the line delivery was kind of shoddy, which kind of hindered some scenes, which is to be expected from sort of newer beginner actors, but nothing that bogged the film down too much. The first act was paced way faster than the second and third act, which was kind of jarring at first because I thought it was going to be a faster paced film, but once it transitioned into the second act and kind of took a slower pace, it kind of was a little bit like, whoa, okay. So perhaps if the first act wasn't paced so quickly, it would have flowed together better with the rest of the film. But it made the second and third acts more enjoyable because of how long it lasted, and it wasn't boring. I wasn't looking at the time, seeing when the showing was going to end or whatnot. I was completely enthralled in the experience, and I really liked it. A few more short notes. As I said, the cast was really great. There was a kid who played the little brother. I think the character's name was I don't remember the character's name, and I thought he was kind of annoying. I didn't really like his performance all that much, and it was shot really well. I was completely taken back by some of the shots and the style in which the cinematographer approached the film with, because it's really reminiscent of how I would like to shoot things. So seeing a style that I'm so accustomed to in a world premiere film like that was really, really cool. There's a scene where the three main characters go swimming, and it played some weird like pop song, and which kind of took me out of the moment a little bit. I personally don't agree with that choice of song. I think maybe if they used an original piece from their soundtrack, it would have been way better, because the original soundtrack was great, and I think that if they used an original track from that catalog, the moment would have felt more deserved instead of just something that happened, because that's what I felt like was going on with the song choice. But that's all right. Overall, the film was really, really great. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Just those few things kept it back from a 4.5. But yeah, no. Regardless, it was really, really good. I'm not sure when it's getting a theatrical release or where it's coming out, but it's called Wildhood, and I 100% recommend it if you can find it anywhere on any streaming services, or if it's coming to a theater near you. It's a really, really important story. It's about this indigenous boy trying to find his way through sexuality and through accepting his culture. So it's a really, really important story, and I definitely recommend it. After the movie ended, we all kind of realized we weren't going to see My Puny Sorrows, so we stuck around for the Q&A afterwards, and it was a fantastic Q&A. It was great having a little insight on the director's vision and how the actors responded to the script, and how it was on set with all the COVID stuff, because they were shooting right when COVID just started. And I believe the director said that it was one of the first features to shoot under the new COVID guidelines. So toward the second half of the Q&A, it got really, really emotional from the cast. So that was really impactful, and it made me appreciate the film a whole lot more. So I'm really, really glad we stuck around for the Q&A instead of trying to leave and catch My Puny Sorrows. So I think it was way worth it in the end. After the Q&A was over, we were like, we could at least try to go see My Puny Sorrows. So we ordered another Uber, and we went back down to the more general area of Toronto, like under the CN Tower-esque. I don't know if I have it. So we got back in that general area by our hotel, and went to the theater and asked if we could still get in, but unfortunately we couldn't. We were like a half hour late. So they told us that we could get replacement tickets, which was good, which was a big thumbs up. We thought we could maybe squeeze in another film for the night, because we'd only seen one that day. So we decided to go to dinner and then discuss what we wanted to see and what we wanted to do from there. And the box office was going to close at 7, so Elijah and Ben, which were the only two who had TIFF accounts and credit cards, had to go to the box office and decide what we were going to see. Because originally we were going to see, I forget what the film was called, but it starred Riz Ahmed. It was about a vet, I think. The box office said that we couldn't get into any more showings that day, so they gave us tickets for Nobody Has to Know, which I will get into later. So we finished dinner, we checked into our hotel, and just kind of hung out for the rest of the night. Unfortunately, the next morning, Abby had to leave because she had a whole bunch of homework to do, so she had to leave early, around 8:30ish. So Abby had gone home in the morning, and we woke up and we decided we wanted to see the movie Low Invisible. It's an Ecuadorian film, so I'm definitely not pronouncing that right at all. It's I don't want to butcher the pronunciation either, so I'm just gonna say Low Invisible. I sound like a complete fool probably, but that's okay. So we called the box office and we booked 3 tickets for Low Invisible back at the Ontario Place IMAX Theater. So we went down, we checked out of our hotel, and we decided we wanted to get some breakfast. The showing was at 12, I believe. We decided that we were going to Uber, so we had like 45 minutes extra to try and go get breakfast. So we walked to a Tim's, and to our luck, it was completely packed. The line was almost going out the door, and we thought it would just go by relatively fast. So we stood in the line, and we soon realized that was probably a bad idea, because it took us forever to get to the self-order thing, and then it took us quite a bit of time to get our food and stuff. So once we finally got that, we ordered the Uber right away. Once that came, we went back to Ontario Place, the IMAX Theater, We got in, we scanned our tickets, we got to our seats, and lo and behold, we accidentally got into another world premiere. And the cast, no, the lead and the director came out. They were the only two there, and they came out, they introduced the film, and we were all like, oh my god, again, holy shit. So we watched the film, and it was good. It was really, really, really good. I really enjoyed it. One of the standouts for this film was the sound design and the cinematography. The sound design was absolutely incredible. Hearing it on the IMAX speakers definitely enhanced our experience watching it, because just how impactful all the sound design in the film was. It was so simple and nuanced, and it was so easy to appreciate. The lead actress was really, really, really amazing. Everybody else was just kind of there, I think. Didn't really leave any lasting impressions on me. I've just been thinking about the lead's performance since I've seen the film. And there was this one scene that I found hilarious, which wasn't meant to be hilarious, I don't think. It's a scene where the main character, the lead, her name is Louisa, I believe, the character. She's driving with her friend in a parking garage. She goes to pee inside of a bottle to throw at another character's car. And while she's doing that, while she's pouring the urine on the car, her friend drives away, but it's so like sudden, and the tire screeches on the ground were so funny. It was so sudden, and it just happened. It was hilarious, and it wasn't meant to make you laugh. It was meant to make you like, oh my god, what an asshole. So yeah, that was unintentionally funny, unfortunately, but you know, that's all right. Right in the middle of the third act, I was pretty set on giving the film a 3 out of 5, and then the ending happened, and it was one of the best endings I've seen in a really, really long time, and that bumped it right up to a 3.5. Just the way the film used sound and narration. One of the characters was singing a lullaby, and it was kind of taking you through the last few minutes of the film, and then the end of Luisa's character arc. And I thought it was done beautifully. It wasn't unexpected. You were expecting it, but you weren't expecting it to hit so hard. So that was what I really enjoyed about it. It was really, really impactful, and I have been thinking about it ever since. So after that screening, we had a whole bunch of time before going to see Nobody Has to Know. So after the Q&A, we just kind of left Ontario Place and walked over to where the streetcars were. We got into the streetcar, and we got back down to the area in which our hotel was, so like near the CN Tower, kind of under it. And we were walking around. We kind of wanted to get something to eat because we had so much time. And we wanted to see if we can fit 3 films into the day, because we only had 2 lined up, which was Low Invisible and Nobody Has to Know. So we wanted to try and get a third one in there. So right before we went and got lunch, we head over to the box office, and we tried to get tickets for an Israeli film, but the tickets were premium, so they were $40 each, and we only could buy them in pairs, which was unfortunate because we only had 3 now, because Abby had gone home. So we were like, shit, we really, really wanted to see the Israeli film, but we were like, I don't know. So we went and got our lunch. We were going to sit on the idea of whether or not we wanted to see another film after Nobody Has to Know. So we went and got our lunch, we ate it, then we headed over to the theater where Nobody Has to Know was playing. We got in there. It was the film's international premiere, so not quite the world premiere, but the international premiere, which was still cool. The director was supposed to be there, and fun fact, the director of the film actually wrote and starred in it, so that was really cool. I didn't know that until Ben pointed it out to me. But unfortunately, this was the worst film we saw at the festival. And usually I'm one for slow films, but this was so slow and it was so boring. I was like, okay, I had to check my phone, and I saw that we were only a half hour in, and I was like, oh my goodness. Some positives first. The film was carried completely by its 2 leads. They gave 2 really, really charming performances, and I think that if the script was better, that this would have been one of my favorites of the festival, I think. It was trying way too hard to be something it wasn't, and in doing that, the script came out really dull, really repetitive, and really boring. The original soundtrack, which the movie had, wasn't too great either. I thought it was way too overdramatic and way too familiar sounding. It was, kind of generic drama film music, and it really didn't add anything to any of the scenes that it was used in. It actually took away from the scenes because of how jarring and how just boring the music was. After we had left the theater, I said to Ben and EJ, I was just so surprised at how mid the film was. I ended up giving the film 2 out of 5 just because of how boring it was. The 2 stars are honestly just for the 2 leads because they did such a good job with what script they had. So yeah, after that screening, we all were like, okay, we can't end on a bad one. We can't end on a film that none of us liked. So we made our way back to the box office and decided that we were going to see the documentary Listening to Kenny G. And we had no idea who Kenny G was. We had no clue what the film was going to be about. It was kind of last resort since we couldn't see the Israeli film we wanted to see, and everything else was $40 premium tickets. So we decided on listening to Kenny G. So we got those tickets. We made our way back to Scotiabank Theater 3, which was the same one we just came out of. So we made our way back in there. We had some pretty okay seats. We were like off to the side a little bit. And then once we were in there were more microphones set up at the front of the stage. So we were like, did we just really finesse another world premiere for our last showing at TIFF? And once we got in there, the announcement person came out and had the director come out. So we were like, holy shit, we are on another world premiere right now, and we were all super excited. And when the director came out, she said this was the second time anybody in the world had seen the film because they had premiered it at a drive-in the night before. So she said that technically this was the world premiere, because nobody was really at the drive-in. So I'm just counting it as our third world premiere. Which is, awesome. I didn't really think we were going to go to any world premieres, but 3 is way better than none. So she came out, introduced her film. I was super, super excited because I knew absolutely nothing about what we were about to see. And once it started, I knew it was going to be special from the opening. It reminded me a lot of Casey Neistat's films, so that kind of took me back a little bit, and I was I immediately knew what the rest of the film was going to be like, and it was not a bad thing at all. I was really, really excited to see how the director was going to tell the story. I had never seen any of her films before. This film really made me want to check every single one of her pieces out because of how impactful her storytelling methods are. It was unexpectedly hilarious. I didn't think it would be so funny. I don't remember the last time I was like laughing out loud in the theater. The theater was having such a good time. It was such an enjoyable experience, and this is really the first time I've been like back in the theater since COVID started. Like, I've been to the theater a few times, but it wasn't really like anything meaningful. But at TIFF, it was really like, it was a really wow experience. So I'm really, really happy. My first back at the theater experience was at TIFF. And every person that showed up, via interview, normal footage that they captured with Kenny G, archival footage, was so charming, and they had such a personality that carried every scene that they were in. Nobody was boring. There was so much passion throughout the entire film. You could tell that the director really cared about the story and really cared about showing the world Kenny G's perspective of everything he's gone through. It shot by so fast, and I wish it was longer, and I definitely am very, very excited to check this thing out again. I went in knowing absolutely nothing about Kenny G. The 3 of us, I think, went in knowing absolutely nothing, and then we came out thinking he was this incredibly charismatic, charming guy, and to our surprise, he was actually at the premiere. Him and the director came out and did a little short Q&A, and that was really awesome. We got to say hi to him and the director, which was super cool. And then, yeah, that was our last showing at TIFF. It was the best way we could possibly end it. Once we left the theater, we were just talking about how much we loved it, and how surprised we were by it, and how thankful we were that we didn't end on Nobody Has to Know, because that would have been such a bummer. And, we walked back to Union Station, where Ben and I got on the train back to our apartment, and Elijah got back on their train on the subway back to their apartment in downtown Toronto. So yeah, overall, our first TIFF experience was absolutely incredible. It was so much fun. I really hope I can go next year, and I really hope that I can go to more festivals in the future. But yeah, no, this is it for this diary. This is kind of different in the way I formatted and edited it, but hopefully you liked it. I really enjoy doing these types of videos, as I say at the end of every one. But yeah, it's super fun, and I can't wait to go back to another festival and go back to the theater, honestly. So yeah, thanks so much for sticking around. This is probably going to be a longer video, so if you made it to the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you can check out some of my other diaries or some of my short films. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and that's all for me.